I'm Gerri McCritty from Papa Gallery here at LCTV Channel 66, downtown Lancaster, and you are watching Shining a Light. Today we're going to be shining a light on someone who I believe is going to make an impact in this community. And his name is Joe Gray. And I'm going to introduce him to you and let him introduce himself to you too.
Thank you.
Joe, thank you for being on this show, brother.
Thank you, Miss Gerri.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So tell our viewers a little brief history about yourself.
Yes.
Where you grew up, your mother, your father, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm basically a Lancaster native.
Okay.
Raised here in Lancaster. Single mother of four. Her name is Lori Weaver.
All right.
She did an amazing job at raising. I'm the second oldest of four.
Okay.
And she did an amazing job at just setting the law first and foremost.
Yes.
But ensuring that we have our morals and ethics and manners most importantly. I'm a father. I'm a father of a 10-year-old little baby.
All right.
She'll always be my little baby, even though she hates hearing that.
Yes.
But
yes.
Her name is Leonie Gray. That's what this book is all about. Had her right after high school, and sure enough, I wouldn't be. There is no Coach Joe without the birth of Leonie. I'm an uncle. I'm a brother. I have two amazing nephews. They keep me on my toes. They keep me active. They keep me young. They keep me learning. They keep me, to the time.
Focused.
Yeah, man. Amir and Josiah, I love them to death. They like other kids. But yeah, just grew up here in Lancaster. I started school in Marion Township, where I went elementary school. Then about the end of elementary school, I think Armstrong bought the block we lived on, so we had to emergency move.
Okay.
Which brought us into the city, where I started going to Han in 6th grade.
Okay.
Which was a huge culture shock. Going from a predominantly white school to
where
everyone looked like you.
Yeah.
Now I was the only black kid out there, and now I'm like the white black kid in this new school.
Wow.
So
what school was this? Where? When the white black school?
The school is called Brecht Elementary. It's right across the bridge, going past like LA Fitness and going towards Neffville and Marion Township School District.
Okay.
So that is kind of my journey, and that same story. The place where I found my true identity, or I thought I found my identity, was in sports growing up.
What kind of sports was it that you were
football,
interested in?
Football was always my first love.
I don't know, you just strike me to be a basketball.
I mean, I did play basketball a little bit. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I played basketball up until high school.
Yeah.
But that's when football kind of just took over.
Nice.
Played a little bit of track here and there. But
nice.
Football was the love of my life.
Nice. So where did the Coach Joe Gray name come from? I've always wanted to know about that.
That's a great question. Coach Joe Gray came from after high school.
Okay.
I kind of was lost. I was super lost. I just had a daughter. I was supposed to go down to Maryland and run track, but because I had a daughter, I chose to stay here and start working. Immediately, my little brother and my little cousins asked me to coach their basketball team at the Lancaster Rec. Okay. And I didn't know it at the time, but that was the beginning of introducing me to my purpose of just serving the community, youth development, and just being that voice, that person I needed when I was a kid. I volunteered at the Rec for a couple years. While volunteering at the Rec, I got asked to be an AAU coach. That's travel basketball. As the coaches was just watching me from the sideline.
Yeah.
They came up after the games like, "Are you interested in coaching?" Said, "Okay." I'm like 19 at the time, 18, 19, fresh out of school. So now I'm coaching at the Rec. I'm coaching at AAU. I'm coaching at my church. I'm coaching at Brightside. Just coaching. Any way I can just get in the face of kids and just pour out. I wasn't really too intentful, just coaching at this time. And I just continue coaching. To the point where kids are calling me, "Hey, Coach Joe," because that's what I'm doing. But then kids I never coached before start calling me, "Yo, Coach, Coach Joe."
Yeah.
And that's when the beginning of the name started. As a coach, I started coaching for the school district. People started knowing me to coach, asking and coaching a little more. And to the point where the oldest kids I coach now are like 20, 21. And they still see me like, what's good, Coach?
Yeah. How does that feel?
It feels good. It honestly feels good to see the full circle effect, and not a pat on the back, but just the conversation that I had, like, yo, you still doing this?
Yeah,
or, yo, you still working with the kids? Or, yo, you was right about XYZ.
Yeah.
Because it's our job just to plant the seeds.
Yes.
But they're going to grow in their time.
Yes.
But we just got to plant the seeds.
Yes. I'm so glad you said that. Planting the seeds, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Planting those seeds. Find your niche, plant those seeds, and let it go.
Yes.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your writing process. I see you have quite a bit of books out here.
Yes.
I did not know of that. I know you said this one was about your daughter.
Yes.
But what led you to even wanting to go to that experience in writing?
If I'm being honest, it was two different. I found a love for writing in school. And it wasn't like an actual love. It was just I found out I was good in it. Like a teacher affirmed me. Like I wrote a last minute paper. Really last minute, like due at the end of the week, and I didn't do anything. I just get into it. And that paper, she pulled me aside after class, like, this is really great outside of your grammar.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I got affirmed for something outside of like sports. I felt like because I was pretty good at sports, but for someone to see that aspect of me, it was like, oh, okay. So I started just writing. I call it dump writing.
So you just got a pencil and pad and just sat down, just
dumping. Because I don't talk. I grew up in like a judgmental household, so it's like I naturally just don't talk. So that once I learned how to write and express myself through paper and pen, it was like the free feeling of just releasing. Until like some of my friends see my work, and I was super embarrassed because this wasn't cool. I grew up in the hood.
I was just going to cut you off there. Super embarrassed. I usually hear young folks say that, for something they did very good and they feel embarrassed about it. What is it about that you feel embarrassed about?
Because when you grow up like in the inner city culture, what's cool is what's validated.
Gotcha.
Being smart ain't cool.
Yeah.
Getting good grades ain't cool. Sometimes parents don't even clap for those things, but everyone claps for 1,000-point scores, 4 touchdowns in a game, 200 yards.
Right.
So those are the things that get attention, and nobody wants to seem like a loser. Nobody wants to seem like unimportant, unless you are like, you have a foundation of love and you understand. But a lot of times when you grow up in environments that aren't conducive to growth, that is like another language. Those things aren't even come.
That's true.
That embarrassment kind of kept me from being myself, and that's kind of the title of Unmasking Me. It's like, okay, I started wearing a mask because I don't want to show people who I really am. I'm just going to show them this athlete, and whatever comes from that, comes from that. But I'm just going to be the shy, quiet athlete, and we're going to just go through school. So that's the beginning of my process, and leads me to the, I'm not going to jump too far, that leads me to the title of the book, Unmasking Me, to where it's like my personal declaration to always be myself, always show up, never shrink to fit the room, never forget my morals because of circumstances or environments, but always show up and be myself.
Right. So the title of this book, Unmasking Me, basically is about you.
Yes. While the book is a self-help book, the title is all about
you.
Me. It's a personal statement.
Yeah.
So sometimes the title and the inside of the contents it won't align because the title is it's super personal. But that's where the co-title, The Lost in My Head, Stuck in My Thoughts, as this book is a guide to help people through them dark times, through those depressions, the stress, the anxiety.
Yeah. How long did it take you to write this book?
Wow. I started writing in the pandemic.
Hmm.
And again, I was only writing because I was stressed. I was depressed. I didn't know where to turn. I'm relying on my vices to get through the day. I'm not really doing anything productive. I'm not in school because the school shut down, and that fulfillment that I got every day, I wasn't getting. So I started just writing to stay sane. Within that process, I was like, people can use this book. So I know I'm writing to make it a book, but at the end of that, like, depressing period, reality hit me. It was like, well, people gonna actually read these things. Do you want people to show? So, like, even though I started writing in 2020, it didn't come out till 2025. There's 5 years of battling my own fear, emotions. Of just getting through it. Like,
that just leads me to ask you the next question. How was that process for you?
Oh, my
that
goodness.
Writing process, because I read a little bit of it. I'm still gonna, and then just a little bit I read, it was like, whoa, this is it was like impactful with good things and gave you food for thought.
Yeah.
So it's like, how was that journey? I always thought about that. How was that journey for you in that writing process when you got up every day and, like you said, it was the pandemic, you were home and you wanted to write that stuff out? What was that process like for you?
Honestly, when I wanted to write, I couldn't write. But when I didn't want to write, it just flew. And that's how I knew it was just beyond me. You know, God's using me to get the pain out on paper. But it was hard. There's times where I'm writing and I'm crying. Or I'm writing, I got to stop, I got to go get a drink, I got to just walk around because it's reminding me, it's peeling back the layers of trauma that I buried for so many years. And reminding me of situations and stories that I didn't necessarily grow out of. That I kind of just tucked away and put under the bed. You know, when your mom tells you to clean, you push everything under the bed to go outside. I did that for a long time. So that process was true healing, peeling the Band-Aids off and allowing my scars to show and being okay with that. You know, being confident in that. So.
And how was your mother, your family with you through this process? I mean, as a mother, you know.
They was nervous. They was very nervous, especially my mom. I think she was the most nervous, especially once I submitted the manuscript to the publisher and it became real. She was like, "Whoa, how much of this is? How much are you telling? Like, are you telling all the deep dark secrets?" I'm like, you know, I'm speaking my truth. You know, that was all I could really say because I was still fresh and I didn't want their opinions to rub off on me and change something. So I waited till basically anything couldn't get changed and let them read it.
So you kind of hid doing all that writing stuff, really?
Absolutely. I'm not big on like showing off until the finished product. I don't know if that's still something I'm working on or growing through.
No,
but
it's all good with that. That's a good behavior because sometimes you just can't let it all out like that until you feel it's done inside. It's almost like an art project,
right?
You know, what I see you went through. And it's like seeing the end result, you know, as an artist, and just seeing your book, knowing you coming through the gallery a couple of times.
I wasn't even writing books.
I didn't know what you were doing, and then when I saw that, I was like, whoa.
If I'm being honest, when I came through the gallery the first time, these books were in my head, but nothing was out because I didn't see myself like that. I was so busy trying to fix everyone else's dreams and help everyone else's dreams that I didn't really see myself as that, or put too much time into it.
Right.
So it was that time when I did drop the ball at the gallery, that I got to just go home, reflect away from everybody in that isolation time, and grow. You know, be honest with myself, hold myself accountable. And that's where the creations of the books came, because it was like, it's time to. If you can do this for everyone else, it's time to do it for yourself.
For you.
Yeah.
For you. And you did it, man. Look at this. And you've been doing it from little journeys up until now. So what's next for Coach Joe Gray? Starting off with these good books
Yeah.
Are you gonna keep on writing? Well,
Yeah.
spoken
So
word. What's
definitely
that?
gonna keep on writing. I got a couple more books or I have my next book already done. I gave you a little sneak peek. This is the first time I'm saying this on air, but it's going to be nothing of this.
Okay,
it's going to be totally different. I might even dabble into a whole nother realm of creativity, of authorship, of illustrator.
Okay.
But it's going to be kind of like a comic, so I'm going that route.
Yeah.
But again, it's the same thing, trying to use the message of teaching kids things they can learn, not just entertainment, but through storytelling. And eventually I'm going to get into developing like my books into characters and TV shows. So
I was just gonna say that word, man. Film.
I'm going to go straight. And the only thing that really stops me is fear, if I'm going to be completely honest. So this is my season to not let fear.
Put those boxing gloves on. Box that, duck that fear out the way. Because you have nothing to fear but fear itself, as the saying goes. And you just knock that fear out the way. Because I believe, from what I've seen, what I've been knowing you're climbing those steps. And you continue to climb those steps. So tell me a little about your spoken word. Because I know you do that too. Are you still doing that? And then you got programs coming up. Talk a little bit about your programs, what you're doing with the kids.
Yeah, so... in the summer, I run a program called Full Court Friday.
Okay. Full Court Friday. Full Court.
Yeah, the idea is I use basketball as a tool to bring kids in and to give them a safe space, a safe environment to just play basketball.
And where's this? Where do you do this?
I was running out the mix for a couple summers, and this is my first summer where I'm going to be moving to a new location.
Okay.
So. Yeah, but it's all about providing that safe space for boys so they're not out on the street on a Friday night. So they can come inside, they can play basketball. But also, in the middle of that, we stop, we eat, and then we have a little talk time. Where myself or a community leader or a speaker of some sort share their testimony or a story of adversity, how they push through adversity. And I believe that just with exposure, mentorship, and our boys can gain the confidence and competence that they need to unlock their full potential. So creating programs around that general idea. It doesn't have to be sports and it doesn't have to be writing. I usually use that framework of how can I attract kids and how can I get them the tools they need. And then
boom, it happens.
So
where do you do most of your work?
Very much everywhere. So I'm a little bit in this. No, I don't have one. Because of just all the different volunteer. Like I volunteered at Brightside, Teen Haven, all the different organizations, Boys and Girls Club, the Mix. I just use a combination of everything and what group needs it the most, who needs it the most. Whether it's this pocket of the city, whether it's Hazel Jackson School and I'm running mentorship groups and I'm coming in and meeting with students, take them out of class and helping with homework or teaching them or working with the emotional needs and behavioral issues. Or if it's working in special education and autistic support and advocating for them and working with them and helping them get the tools they need, because that's one of my biggest working in special education. I love the fulfillment. I love the smiles. I love
I can already tell you're passionate in that. You're smiling just talking about it. I already see the passion.
That's my main niche I see. So advocating for the misunderstood, the misheard, the ones that don't have a voice is my next. It's what's next. What does that look like?
You don't know, but it'll come.
Find out.
It'll come. So, what's a good word of advice you would give all of our viewers out there for someone who's lost and, wanting to bring themselves out, trying to find something within themselves to bring it out to get somewhere?
Yeah, man. I love that question. Thank you for even asking.
You're welcome.
We all have a moment of feeling lost, no matter how successful you are or how young you are. We can all feel lost in a time. So I always say, take the time to step back from life, slow down, look in the mirror. That's not always physically. That means just hold yourself accountable.
Yes.
Look at your behavior, your decisions, everything that you've been doing, and ask yourself, does it align with where you're trying to go with life?
Right.
What you're trying to do. And the same thing with the people you hang out with and the environments. A lot of times when I feel stuck and I feel lost, those are the 3 questions. What am I doing? Who am I with? And where am I at? And the answer to those 3 questions can kind of align me back to where I should be.
Yes.
And if though all those are right, then we dig deeper.
Right.
We dig deeper.
Right.
What's the root issue to this anger?
Right.
Why do I, get upset to this? But after that, find someone you trust that you can console with.
Right.
Whether that's a parent, a friend, even a professional. I know I had to get in therapy sessions a couple times to really vent and really. The beginning of my journey started when I left a mental institution, and I met with real professionals to talk my real trauma out.
Yeah.
And my mom got to come in, and we got to face and talk about everything that we went through.
Yes.
But without going through that time, I wouldn't be here now because I would have still been faking the funk and just pushing through. What's next?
Yeah.
But it's okay to take the time, sit in your funk, learn what's bothering you.
Right.
Too many times we push to the next thing, next thing.
Yeah.
Slow down, take your time, and reset.
Yeah. I couldn't have said it better, man. Coach Joe Gray, thank you so much.
No,
thank you for being in this community.
Oh,
thank you for what you're doing, and continue doing the good work you're doing.
Thank you.
Gerri McCritty here. You're watching Shining a Light here at LCTV Channel 6. Thank you for watching.